Hi, y'all. First of all, I'm going to give you the website, the Utah State Board of Education Digital Teaching and Learning website. So I took you directly to the EdTech Management Resources page. But if you want to go to the DTL grant program, this will tell you all about the DTL grant program. But we're just going to focus on the EdTech Management program. So through the Digital Teaching and Learning grant, USBE gets funding for every single school that's in the DTL program, which is most schools, it's all districts and 2/3 of charters. So if you are in the Digital Teaching and Learning grant program, you have access to an EdTech management resource. You are guaranteed that. If you are not in the Digital Teaching and Learning program, check in with us. And if we have funds available, we can set you up. And we just know that year to year whether or not that's the case. So checking in with the DTL team would be a good way to know that. Through the Digital Teaching and Learning grant program, you have a choice of 4 different providers. And these are in alphabetical order: ClassLink, Global Grid for Learning, LearnPlatform by Instructure, and Lightspeed. And so the deadlines for this past year were a little bit later because the procurement process took longer than we anticipated. And so last year's deadlines were November 1st through November 8th. This year's deadlines will be made known to you through the DTL list. If you are in the DTL program, we have your information and we will send that to you. If you're not in the DTL program, please feel free to email any one of us.
I'm not sure if this is the appropriate form, but some of my charter schools want to use Clever, for example. I think, is that the same as Global Grid for Learning, maybe?
It is not.
Or some single sign-on.
You bring up a really good point, and I'm really glad that you brought this up. A lot of the 4 companies that met the procurement qualifications, a lot of them have single sign-on availability. And that's just a bonus, that's an add-in. So the DTL program is not meant to fund single sign-ins. It's meant to fund managing your EdTech systems, the usage that you have. So it's a bonus if you choose a program that does that. And you can tell what each program does by clicking on these links, and it will give you an overview of what the provider does as well as a video.
Well, a big thank you to USB and the data privacy team for inviting us to the spring training, and most importantly to our special guests, which we'll get to in a minute here. Thanks for everyone who stuck around or watching this video later. Here's the agenda for our time today. After some quick introductions, we're going to walk through the very specific configurations for metadata dictionary compliance in LearnPlatform. After we go through those details, we're going to discuss how you can include data privacy as part of your vetting process. And lastly, we're going to quickly review some of the new functionality that all LEAs have access to, called provider management. So at the end, we're going to make sure we leave you with resources, and we're going to share a couple upcoming events. But what I'm most excited for today is to have Camille from Washington School District joining us also to share their perspective and just a little insight into what their district is doing. And that's the question we get the most is, what are other districts doing? How are they handling data privacy? So big thank you for taking time today to share your perspective. Some other people that you might know, my name is Madra. I'm a LearnPlatform specialist now, but formerly I was the CSM that took care of LearnPlatform in the state of Utah. So currently, Jacob, who's here now, and Carla are your CSMs for Instructure products, including LearnPlatform. And you might also recognize Dr. Amanda Cadron, who's on the call today. She is your research team member. She can help you with rapid cycle evaluations, which we probably won't get into too much today, but she is here. If you have questions for her, you can reach out to Jacob or to Amanda. As you know, real quick, Instructure offers a wide variety of ed tech solutions. LearnPlatform falls under the ed tech effectiveness solution, as it really helps you, optimize your efficiency, and get ROI across your learning system. Today, we're going to talk specifically how it does that for data privacy. Another well-known solution that Utah LEAs have access to and that was mentioned in this last session was Canvas, that falls under the learning management solution. And even a few of you have Mastery Connects, which falls under assessment. So if you have questions about any of those solutions, again, your CSM is the best person. But today we're going to talk about metadata dictionary. It was actually Tony Campbell from Washington who first put this on my radar. And then Katie and John from USBE who kind of put me through metadata dictionary 101. Our product team even made a little update to our public product library to ensure that really everything you need to do to comply with metadata dictionary can happen in LearnPlatform. So however, as much as I think I know, I'm far from an expert. So if there's any question, please always refer to USBE for clarifications on those requirements. But if it's configuration questions for LearnPlatform, I've got you on that. So that's the final product of what we're looking for, or what we're aiming for. Everything that we're going to cover for the configuration of metadata dictionary is found in the settings of your LearnPlatform account. So let me reshare my screen. Hopefully this works. One more time. And for what products even appear in your public library are set at the status level. So you can create your own status, or you can edit the visibility for our system statuses. And there's a bunch of ways you can customize each status, but today we're going to focus on the two little checkboxes for PPL here, or public library. So if I say PPL, the first one says include products with this status in your public product library. That just means that that status would even be visible on the filter dropdown. There are some statuses or products with those statuses that you do not need to have visible in your public product library. So you have the ability to determine maybe there's a status that is only needed for your admin, or only used for your admin. So you could uncheck this box if you don't even want it to be existing at all on your PPL. The second one is allowing you to automatically add products when you assign this status. So that's really nice automation if your intention is to automatically add any products that are approved for use to your PPL. And that is a very popular configuration. If you look at the examples of products here, or statuses, some are approved, some are denied, pending. There's different variations. Usually for a public library, districts are mostly concerned with products that are approved for use and are being used by the district. Some districts choose to show all statuses, and that's a district decision, but others say, we don't necessarily need the public to know which ones are pending or under review, or if we've reviewed and denied them, again, don't need to be in the public library. So really starting at the status level, deciding what products, and in this case, for metadata dictionary, it would be any products that collect PII. You'd want to have a status that is visible in your PPL. Moving on to tags. I think of a tag like a label. You can apply tags to products to share more information about them. You can tag, or tags is really how you add those metadata elements to the products. On the screen, you're looking at the 12 very specific tags that you would create for metadata dictionary. The most important part of creating the tags, just like the status of the product, is to set the visibility to your specific audience. So in this case, we want these tags to make sure they are visible in the public library. Once you've created the tags, we can put them into a group, and from there, I'm going to show you how to build a bunch of stuff. If you're a spreadsheet person, think of it like not only am I building these labels that I can apply to or I can add to a row, but I'm also building that drop-down menu that allows you to easily apply those tags to those rows. So there are a few other options that you can customize about a tag. Nothing that is like required for metadata dictionary, but some districts choose to apply a badge or a logo to that tag. So there's also a little bit of a visual in the product details. And then also you can include a definition. This is really only for internal use. But if there's a tag that needs a little bit more clarity, or if you're using tags to create a process checklist, which you can also do, definition can be helpful. But since we're focused on metadata dictionary, these would be the tags that you would create. Can you still see me? Okay, good. I saw a little blurb. These would be the tags that you would create that are in the groups that you would put them in. So PII collected, I know it's just one tag, but it still goes into a group. And that's because it needs to be in a group to make something, and it will make more sense when we start looking further. Justification, so you have your three options here. And then FERPA exception, which has, I think it's 8 options here. Once you've created them, those tags, this is inside of LearnPlatform. And then from there, we're going to build a list. And this is really important because this is how that tag that you've applied to a product is visible on the product in the PPL. So when you're building a list, just like a status and just like a tag, you determine the audience. So in this case, I would want to make sure I check that public product library visibility. So I would give this list a name, probably metadata dictionary elements or information. And then I would add those groups to this list. And those groups that I just created, FERPA exception, and PII collected, I would add the groups right to this list. And I will show you what that would look like here. So we're creating this list to be displayed on a product. And the way it works is when you have applied a tag, so let's just say it was school official, a product was school official, you would see school official on the detail of the product. I can pause here for questions. I know there's not a ton of people, but oh, we've got more people joining. Awesome. I'm also, I know I'm not showing you exactly how to build like the buttons to click on this. We do have a bunch of guides, the how to, exactly the click paths you need to do to set these things up. So I'm going to keep going, but still monitoring the chat, and we'll be sharing a bunch of resources for you at the end. So once we've created the metadata dictionary tags, we've built the list, which is how you'll see the tags on those products. You can also create a filter. Now, definitely not required, but it really will allow you to sort your products by the tags that you've applied. For example, if an admin wanted to filter all products that collect PII and our local LEA decisions so they can focus on getting updated DPAs, that would be a great use case for a filter. The other thing that highly recommend, again, not required, but will make your life a lot easier, is columns. So back to my spreadsheet people, this is how I would build that drop-down menu to add to a column in your management view. And this will really allow you to easily apply these tags and keep these tags updated in your library. This is already where you come to manage, other information about your ed tech. So why not also include that metadata dictionary information right there? You can create one column for all of your MDD and metadata dictionary information, or you could have a separate column for each. So really, again, just comes down to your district preference. So from the settings, you can add columns, you can add those tag columns, you can see their justification and FERPA exception over here. When you click on the eyeball, it brings that into your visibility, almost like a hidden column versus one that's visible. And then you can always drag and drop them to rearrange. Here's what that kind of final view would look like. This is your admin library, all your products. You have PII, justification, and FERPA exception. So when I would click to, let's say, add to product 1+1, here are my options. I would just click on the tag that I want to apply. Last thing that I want to touch base on, but very specific to metadata dictionary, is where you can add your purpose. It's one of the last requirements. Under the details of a product is where you can type a comment from your organization. And again, you would pick the public library that you want it visible in, and you can type in the purpose or the use of this tool. So those are the requirements of some of the product details, right? Purpose, is PII collected, FERPA exception, and the justification that are all, able to be added to these products from your Learn Management library. I'm going to be moving on to how we kind of finalize the customization of your PPL and how you share that, which again is very important. So from your settings menu, again, everything in your settings menu, you can enable your PPL. So you just toggle that on and it's going to quickly generate a shareable link, which is what you just clicked on to look at that demo account. And then that link can be shared with parents or other interested parties or anyone that you need to prove that you're compliant with metadata dictionary. And you can also embed this link into your district website to make it even easier for your parents to find or other community stakeholders. There are a few other configuration details that are specific to MDD. And that's a list of data elements and definitions. And what that means is most of us, because we've been talking about data privacy for a few years here in K-12, know what PII means, but other community members might not know. So a list of data elements is simply all the PII that might be collected by a product and what that means. There's a bunch of places that you can find like a list of PII definitions. A lot of districts have a Google spreadsheet. In fact, I don't know, Nicole, maybe correct me if I'm wrong. On that resource, there might even be a link to a Google Doc that you could use. But regardless, that's one of the requirements, is that you link that list of definitions in your metadata dictionary. And at the beginning of this, when I mentioned that we made a specific product update, then this was it. before you couldn't add a link into your public library, but because we wanted to ensure you guys could all do metadata dictionary compliance with LearnPlatform, we've added that. So here you'll see the title, data elements and definitions, and then whatever link you want to use to share those definitions is what you would add there. You can also share a description, so you can be very specific about the intention of this library. All right, I've talked a lot about boring things like configuration. I'm gonna pass it on to Camille from Washington School District, who's gonna share. You want me to just drive for you?
I'm actually going to share my screen if that's
Ooh,
okay,
okay, I
and just
love
jump
it.
in.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
So
Okay,
in the
go ahead.
chat, I'm just dropping, this is the link for our public product library for anybody who wants to check that out. So this is just our main web page here for our school district. And so under departments and learning and innovation tech, we then go under be safe and data privacy. And right here, this is where we have our link to our library. And you can see here, we kind of have a description with a key that explains the statuses. So I'm just going to click on this here. And like Madra was mentioning, over here on the left side, we have the link to our data elements and definitions. Like she mentioned, parents and other people from the public often aren't going to understand the definitions of PII and those sort of elements. And so here we have in our district how we've outlined all of those definitions and what all of these things mean. So that's available, which is awesome that LearnPlatform has provided that capability here so that we can be compliant. Again, we have the statuses explained here on the side on the left. And then here you can search for a specific product. You can filter by the status if I wanted to only see which products are approved. In Washington County, we like to give our teachers a lot of autonomy and a lot of options for what kind of ed tech tools they use. And a lot of times we will mark those as guardian consent. So you'll see in our library, we have a lot of products marked as conditional. And also, like Madra mentioned, you can choose what kind of product statuses show up in the product library. So most of ours that are marked as denied don't show in our library. If I search a product here, if I go to Canvas, I can click on that here. You can see that it has an approval status of approved all and it's K through 12 compliant. That means anybody in our district can use it. And then as far as the MDD compliant pieces, we have our justification here and our FERPA exemption. And then our purpose, we do it a little bit different than how Madra explained. That's one great thing about LearnPlatform is there's lots of options for how you want to do things and how it works best for your district or school. So she mentioned that you can put the purpose here under the comments. We chose to add it here as a resource. So if I click into here, how we use this product in our district, it will say we use this for grades 8 through 12. So that meets that qualification for saying which students are using this product. And then it gives a description of what that product is used for. And then over here, Madra mentioned badges. So you can see that here, like this learning tech supported. This is a custom badge that we added in and just gives people information on how this product is supported and used in our district.
Thank you so much for sharing and for reminding me. Yeah, there are definitely other ways that you can configure your PPL and how you can add those resources. I can take back. Can you send back the share to me, Camille? Oh, here we go. Awesome. Okay. Well, so complying with metadata dictionary is just one way that LearnPlatform can help you with data privacy. It's a huge way, and it's very important, and we talked a lot about it today. But there's other things that happen that go beyond a metadata dictionary. In fact, I doubt that your teachers are concerned about metadata dictionary, but they probably are concerned about what products they have access to. So we're going to touch a little bit about how LearnPlatform can help with product vetting. as it relates to data privacy. So we're going to focus specifically on data privacy. I could probably talk all day about the details of the vetting process. We've been hearing a lot about accessibility and about having, building level buy-in for vetting processes. So, we realize that data privacy is probably just one step of your product vetting, but it's very important. So let's talk about first how you can uncover products that are being used in your district that you might not have even known about. So first, you can filter by date. So you can look from the entire school year to see your most used products. And you can also filter that library by products that you have not assigned a status to or are not in your district library. This allows you to take a look and maybe decide, hey, there's a lot of students that are using this tool and I'm not sure quite what it is. I'm going to take a look and find more information. And so that's where you can click here in the View Product and Learn Community Library and look at the Privacy tab to find some more information. So by identifying some maybe tools you didn't know were being used, and digging a little deeper into your privacy, you're being proactive, and keeping your data safe, which is what we all want. So this, when you click into the details of a product in the Learn community, go to the Privacy tab. We have a lot of really helpful information that is not intended to give you an answer, yes or no, this product is good for your district, but it is a really great starting point. So on the right-hand side here, you'll see some of the data that is feeding into this privacy tab. We have a couple partners, one that you probably recognize here, the Student Data Privacy Consortium. So we do have an API integration. So if you are using SDPC, as John mentioned in the beginning of the session, as a storage place or like a filing cabinet for those DPAs, that information will be visible inside of LearnPlatform here. You're able to click on specific states and see general approval, like how many districts are approved or not approved. Again, not going to give you the answer, but a really good starting place or a place that you might see like a red flag that you want to dig deeper. We also have links to common sense media recommendations and One Ed Tech. So very helpful if you're kind of just looking to get a feel on any concerns that you might have for a product. Next, when we're talking about vetting, we can talk about accepting requests from teachers. So let's say your educators look in your library, they have a specific tool they want to use. It's not in your library and they request it to you. If you haven't set up workflows yet, which are more automated, you're still able to assign a reviewer. And you can do that right from underneath that action tab. And then you can also assign a form or specific questions to that reviewer. So in this example, or what you're looking at, teacher Madra requested the product, and then it was assigned to the data privacy team, and they will be answering the data privacy questions on the form. We're going to talk about forms in a minute here. The great news about this is even if that data privacy team might be doing some actions outside of LearnPlatform, for example, working in SCPC, this is still a great way to involve them in a full vetting process at your district. When they are added as a reviewer, they're able to see the information that requester submitted about the product, which can be helpful when they're kind of beginning their own vetting process for data privacy. You can also set up workflows very similar to requests, except for more automated. So just automatically assigns those reviewers. So again, in this example, this is the data privacy step. The data privacy team was assigned, and they're answering questions from the data privacy form. So let's talk a little bit more about those parts, but wanted to show you that you can specifically assign somebody in your district who is responsible for your data privacy into your vetting process, either by accepting requests manually and determining that they need to review it, or by setting up those automated workflows. So I mentioned the data privacy team, and you're able to assign teams under groups. This is really great if you have a few people that could answer questions or get your process started. That way, only one of them needs to, complete the review to move on. Or you could just assign an individual, which is also fine. I'd mentioned forms, and forms are where you, just what it sounds, you're adding the questions that you want onto the form that will be assigned to the data privacy team. So does this product collect PII? Yes or no? Very popular question for data privacy form. We do have, other, I'm sure districts would be happy to share other questions they might include in a data privacy form. And I can share that as a resource as well. Just some other questions that we've seen from other data privacy review forums. Now I'm going to pass it back to Camille. I'm going to stop sharing, pass it back to Camille. She's going to talk a little bit about how Washington does their vetting for data privacy.
I'm just going to jump back here into LearnPlatform and show you what it looks like for a teacher to request a product that we don't currently have in our library. So if I go in the search bar here and I look for booklet, it's going to say there are no products in Washington County School District that match that criteria. So then I'm going to hit this show results because there's 2 more results in the Learn Community Library. And here's that app that I am looking for called Booklet. I hover over it and click request. And that's going to pop open the request form that the teacher is going to fill out. So I'm going to select Washington School District, and here is my form. We have a little bit of an explanation about how our process works and how to fill out the form. They're going to mark which content area that app will be used for or product, which school they are at, which grades they intend to use the product with. We ask them to put a website link in the privacy policy here, although I will say for most products that are already existing in the library, that's very easy to find those links in the product management. LearnPlatform takes care of that, which is really nice to have all of that information available there as well. They're going to put in a description of how they plan to use the product and what the outcomes are for their students. This is important because we don't just want to approve just anything, right? We want to understand what the purpose of this product is, how is it going to help our students with their learning objectives and learning the standards. We also ask if there are any other similar products in LearnPlatform. In other words, why do we need this additional product if we already have a product that perhaps can do the same thing? And our students going to use this product. We, in our district, have chosen to also put in our LearnPlatform products that are used just by employees, just to kind of keep that straight and clear. So there's that as well. And then we ask if students are going to be logging into the product. And this matters because if they're logging into the product, that product is going to be collecting data. Whereas if perhaps they're not logging in, that might not be collecting as much information on them. So it kind of gives us a clue in on how concerned do we need to be about how much data is collected here. Does it have any advertising elements? Because that's obviously a concern. We don't want to have ads on our products. We ask who's going to pay for the product. And we also ask the teacher or the requester if the product is going to collect PII. And we included a description here of what that would include. And teachers do their best to answer this. but they're not really experts, right, on PII and data privacy. And so this kind of, again, is just a kind of clue. But again, we need to look more deeply, because often we see that our teachers don't have a clear understanding of what that all entails. We ask if it has any social media or chat components. We don't want students to be able to reach other people through these products. And then this is a new question that just got added a few weeks ago about whether there's going to be student-facing artificial intelligence. You know, AI is new. Districts are still figuring out how they are going to approach that, including our district here. And so that's something that we want to know, if there's AI, and how can we keep our students' information safe if there is a chat or AI component to the product. We ask how the product is going to be installed. This is important because it helps us later in the process of the workflow to send it to the correct people in our technology department to make sure that they can vet the product and make sure it's going to work with our systems and devices. So that's kind of the review form there. And then that is going to initiate our workflow. I love that we have the workflows. Previously, we were keeping track of the process in the product called ClickUp, and it was not as easy to use as LearnPlatform's workflow. It's much more organized and easier to track. So we're very grateful for that feature. I'll just quickly show you what a workflow looks like on this end here. So I'm looking up SolidWorks. This is a product that we recently reviewed. And this is showing all of the forms and the people who completed the forms throughout our workflow process. So it shows who it was requested by. This is their completed form. I can see all of that information there. And then it goes to me, and I do an initial review and mark some of the tags on the product and management. So as far as what the FERPA exemption would be, who's going to be using it, and mark any kind of data privacy concerns before it goes to Tony, who is Learning and Innovation Director. He does a review and then marks tags for who else in the process is going to need to review that, which content coordinators, who in the technology department, all the people who are going to need to review. That goes through that review process, they fill out the forms, and all of this is automated. As soon as one person completes their form, it goes to the next step. So it's very smooth and seamless that way. And then once the product has been assigned a status here, again, it goes back to Tony for him to assign the product status. Then our team goes back in and we add resources. This is just additional information that's helpful for teachers to know how to use the product, if it needs guardian consent, whether it's approved for everyone, and kind of the support pieces there for the product.
This is the most popular question I get is, what are other districts asking? How are other districts setting up their workflows? So thank you so much for letting us look behind the curtain. I do want to add a little asterisk, is that Washington School District is one of our original adopters, and Tony has been working for a long time in this program along with Camille. So don't be scared if your process is not as built out or is not as thorough. They've been working on this for a while. And so that is, it's an amazing workflow. I wanted to just answer a question quickly from the chat about SDPC and LearnPlatform and how it sometimes feels like there's a duplication and, what the recommendation is. And I think obviously every district should do what works best for them. SDPC is a great partner to us. We love that you can see those DPAs and that information in LearnPlatform. And we're going to talk a little bit about provider management that does something similar to SDPC. And provider management was not previously available in the last contract. So before, the recommendation has always been to use SDPC to get those contracts signed, because they have an easy way to click on another agreement and get your name added. I'm sorry if I'm not describing that correctly, but they made it very easy for you to get a DPA signed and store it, like John said, like a filing cabinet within SDPC. I can't speak to how it's configured for metadata dictionary or how it allows you to accept requests for other um, from other educators, or if it gives you any sort of usage information. But I do know it is a great place to store your DPAs. So there are districts that just use it to get those DPAs signed and then use the Learn platform as their source of truth or their like public and educator facing tool. But again, you should decide, Whitney, what is best for your district and your district needs. We definitely have districts that use both, LEAs that use both. And the other thought is, we know data privacy is just one part of your vetting process. You can also use Learn Platform for accessibility vetting, for we haven't, which is great, another compliance, but you can include those processes and those reviewers inside of Learn Platform as well. So, did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. Thank you, Mandra.
Okay, good. Um, Quickly, because I know we're running out of time. I thought, wow, an hour, like this is gonna go by. We're gonna have a lot. But provider management, as I mentioned, is new functionality that you didn't have access to in the previous 5 years of using Learn Platform. So I'm not gonna teach you how to use it today, but I am gonna call out some important things that it can do. You're able to create an application. So I hear you have a new version of a DPA coming out, right? You could upload that new version of a DPA into provider management, and you can then invite vendors to sign and send it back to you through provider management. So just like the forms that you build for requesters and reviewers, you can build a form for provider applications, or you can take that pre-built DPA, the form that you want, and link it to this application. So you don't have to recreate those questions. We also have some really great automations. So you can customize the email they get when you send it out. If they submit it and they've checked the box, you can automatically accept it, and you can add that as a resource into your library. So hopefully less clicks for you. Again, just another option for you on how you manage those DPAs, and something that is new. So we do have some updated documentation coming out that I will definitely share with you, or Jacob will share with you. We have a Learn Community Guide area. It will be added there, and we'll expect that to be coming in the next month. But just wanted to let you know that that's available. I'm going to quickly pass it back to Camille, who's going to share a little bit about how Washington manages.
Mandra, if you'll just go to that next slide for me. We'll just
Yep.
stay here for a
Yeah,
second if
okay,
that's okay.
awesome. I got
Thank
it.
you.
Okay. Yep, there you go.
All right, so super excited about the new option for managing DPAs through Learn Platform. Excited to look more into that and see if that's something that we can incorporate. But this is kind of what we're doing right now. So we have the DPA in a DocuSign link, and anytime we want to initiate an agreement, we're going to send that link out to the product provider's legal team or representative. And then they can fill out the DocuSign. They can sign and fill out the portions that they need to enter. We've gone the DocuSign route because in the past we have had vendors try to change the legal language in the DPA, and we've had issues with that. And so it's a little bit safer way to ensure that that language doesn't get changed, to make sure we have everything completed. They sign that DocuSign workflow, sends that back to me. I do an initial kind of scan and review and make sure it's all filled out completely. And then once I approve that, then it goes to our technology director for final signing, which completes the legal requirement, gets that all taken care of, and then I'll send that back to the provider so that they have a copy as well. And then as Madra talked about, you can add those as a resource into LearnPlatform, which is really nice. There's a file upload option, and so I've just recently started doing that. Yep, you can see there that I have that added as a resource, which is nice to just keep track of everything. And then I've also added a custom DPA expiration column, and this is connected to a workflow. And so when that DPA is going to expire, it's going to send me an email and let me know, hey, this is expiring. We need to reach out and update that. So again, the workflows are awesome. I love all the automation there that helps me keep on top of everything. Right now, I am also uploading our DPAs into SDPC if they have an Exhibit E. That way we can be nice friends and neighbors, and other districts can sign on to those agreements. I know that we very much appreciate it when we can easily sign on to an Exhibit E as well. So super excited about all the changes happening there with SDPC and with the new agreement.
That was wonderful. Thank you for reminding me to mention, or for remembering to mention, date triggered workflows. And so I know sometimes those agreements can take a little bit of time and you need a head start before they expire. So what she had mentioned is, 120 days, 90 days before this expiration date hits, she can get an email, and it can even start assigning steps. So besides just notifications, it could assign maybe just a data privacy review instead of a huge, lengthy, going through a full vetting process again. So just thank you for mentioning that. I want to be mindful of the time. I'm going to skip ahead to some resources. I think the metadata dictionary instructions were shared in the chat already. But I want to share the guides for you. This is a great resource. A lot of just like how-to guides. And so if you want to know about how to creating custom statuses, custom tags, we'll make this presentation available, but the specific clicks are there for you within this product library management. We've got more information about requests. And like I said, provider management will be added here soon. In addition, we have InstructureCon coming up in Washington. So if you have the ability to come join us, we'll have all of our products featured there: Canvas, LearnPlatform, Mastery Connect, Studio. I'm forgetting, I'm sure, some. I also have virtual office happy hour if you haven't had enough discussion about public libraries a little bit later today. But more importantly, I'd like to invite you all to a user group. This is a great opportunity to collaborate with people like Camille who, want to share what they're doing. Like I said, that's the most popular question we get. What are other districts doing? So this link is a survey and a registration. We select the topics of our user group based on what you want to talk about. So here on the survey, you have some options. You want to talk about accessibility, workflows, more about tags. You can submit your vote, and you can also, if you want or you have something to share, you can volunteer, but it's a great opportunity to learn more. So I apologize, Nicole. I'm sending it back.
No worries. Thank you guys so much. That was awesome. And thank you all for being here for the breakout and also for the rest of the training that we've done. I put in the chat one last time a link to our resources doc, and then that all important post-training survey. We really use that. We have a meeting set up for a whole hour later today just to look at the post-training survey results. It's very important to us. So if you have a second to click on that survey and fill that out, we would really appreciate it. And then lastly, if people have questions, follow up, whatever, is there somebody they could contact, Madra, or would you prefer that they go first through those resources? What should they do?
I could probably speak to that best, right, Madra? Yeah, I was going to say, if you have questions about LearnPlatform, I would say reach out to your customer success manager. So that would either be me or Carlo Rodas, one of the two. And if you're unsure who your customer success manager is, reach out to me. I am happy to point you in the right direction. I'll throw my email in the chat. And I am either, again, happy to take care of you or get you in contact with Carla.
Before anyone leaves, I just really want to give the biggest shout out to Camille from Washington. Yes. Thank you so much for just sharing your processes, your thoughts, your plans. You did such an amazing job. I think people want to see more of you and more examples of what you're doing. And Nicole for organizing all this. I'm sure it was a lot.
Yeah, you were great, Camille. Thank you so much. So yeah, thank you all. If you guys have questions, please let us know. And that's it for us. So thank you.